this very gospel of redemption. Millions upon millions of people are doing so right across the face of this very planet Earth. And they are the true warriors and the true soldiers. We must pray. I'm going to pray the Lord's Prayer. I don't know why I love praying it these days, because it reminds us of the preeminence, the supremacy, and the omnipotence of one true creator of the heavens and the earth, and to whom every glory and every adoration belongs to. Because Yeshua, Jesus Christ, the Son of you, was asked to teach the disciples how to pray. And he said, "Our Father who art in heaven," in recognition of the supremacy and irreducibility of Elohim, Adonai, El Shaddai, hallowed be thy name, because there is no other name more than that. We come before thee, we present this family before thee, in praise and in adoration of your holy name, because in good we will praise your name, in bad we honor thee as well. Let thy kingdom come, which is Biafra, on this earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever, we pray. He say, the Lord's Prayer that Jesus Christ prayed, Yeshua prayed, to let mankind understand that there is only one God in heaven. This evening we preach the gospel of heaven, that mankind may bear us witness, that in their time they came and this very gospel was preached, and the whole world heard them, and those who were previously in bondage were set free. This evening we start with the damnable Zoological Republic. The funniest thing about this zoo is that people are foolish, but they don't know how foolish they are. This evening we are going to peel away the veil of ignorance and of stupidity to allow them to be able to reason properly like human beings. If you all can recall, in 2015, the man that Jonathan, should I say, ill-advisedly appointed to lead INEC, his name is Atahiru Jega. He's a Fulani Janjaweed. He installed the dead Buhari, whose spirit is wandering aimlessly in the desert of Arabia, because that's where he was buried and that is where he is. His body can no longer be brought back to the zoo. That is the sacrifice he has had to make in order for the total Islamization of the damnable Zoological Republic to be accomplished by the likes of Gorbachev and Atahiru Jega. You must listen to me very, very attentively this evening, morning, afternoon, or night, depending on where you are. This was the man who was responsible. And this is the game that the Fulanis play all the time. This evening, we are going to ask ourselves, who are those responsible for making the lives of the people in misery? Who are those responsible for the spate, or should I say, the ceaselessness of terrorism in the zoo? Who is to blame? After every analysis, you will come to the inescapable conclusion that Fulani is to blame. But how they manage to convince all of you to look elsewhere for your problems, or for the problems that they have created, is something that I cannot begin to fathom. Jega said something very important. He said, Nigeria's future is at stake, because they now know we have gone into an alliance with our Oduduwa brethren, and they know that this breed of Oduduwa agitators is not like anything they have seen before. This very crop is serious about liberating Yoruba land from the damnable Zoological Republic. They know how fanatical we are about Biafra. So they are panicking. And Fulani will do what Fulani always does, to try to dampen down the tension and try to convince you with warm words, to try to deflect and divert your attention away from the real culprits of the miserable state that the zoo is in. The very article that he, I'm sure, that he co-authored is called Nigeria's Future at Stake Warns Jega, published by a Zoo newspaper. Now listen very carefully, please. The former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, from one Fulani man to another, because they need to control those who goes into power. His name is Professor Atahiru Jega. On Friday warned that Nigerians' future was at stake due to misgovernance. That is the word to note, misgovernance. In other words, misrule, corrupt leadership, inept leadership, leadership of Fulani mediocrity. He said misgovernance, which means that the country hasn't been governed properly. But this was the same man, in concert with Obama, decided to rig somebody they know is patently unfit into power in 2015. Luckily, the idiot died in 2017. And ever since, they have brought one plasticine after another with a hyper-reality face mask to deceive all of you gullible zoo animals. Out of fear and cowardice, of course, none of you ever rose up to point out the obvious. Only us. Misgovernance. What I want to ask Atahiru Jega is, who are those governing the zoo? Who is misgoverning the zoo? The same Fulani that they put into. He himself is a Fulani man. If you read this thing, you think he is blameless. He's got nothing to do with it. This was the man in cahoot with Obama and the rest of them, decided to rig somebody they know is hopeless into power in 2015. Buhari, the late Buhari, was not an intellectual. He wasn't particularly an educated man. He didn't go to school. Of course, due to quota system, they kept pushing him because he's one of the few Janjaweeds who can actually stitch two sentences together in English, albeit in broken English. He was promoted. He was a genocidist, was a murderer, a mass murderer and a killer who should have been tried in The Hague and jailed. But Britain, of course, is always there to save them. Britain is the godfather of Fulani people. They're there to ensure that the reign of mediocrity continues. They are there to ensure that Fulani's continuation in power is unimpeded, to also allow them unrestricted access to the natural resources we have in Biafra, which is mainly oil and gas. As simple as that. Everybody knows that. It's not hidden. Jega stated this. He was saying this at the inauguration of a 34-member policy advisory committee of the PRP, the old party of Aminu Kanu, People's Redemption Party, in Abuja on Friday. You know what he said? He asked Nigerians not to allow bad people to continue to misgovern the country by contributing to the electoral process. Now they want to shift your attention once again to go and vote. PVC, get your PVC, go and vote. When this idiot was the fool responsible for putting somebody they knew was so inept, somebody they knew was an ethnic jingoist, somebody they knew who was a bigot, somebody they know will entrench nepotism, somebody they know whose aim and mission is to Islamize, to finish the work that Othman Danfodio started. They knew all this, it was their plan. But look at how Jega very cleverly have removed himself to ask you, don't allow bad people. So if you're saying this in this day and age, in this era, in 2020, that means that bad people are in Asorok. That's what he's saying. Don't allow bad people to continue. It's simple English language. What he's trying to say is that there are bad people in Asorok. And if Buhari were to be alive, this idiot that put Buhari in power couldn't have been making such a statement. It is called common sense. Of course, it is quite elusive when it comes to black people. We don't reason very well. We don't put two and two together to give us four. Bad people, don't allow bad people to continue to misgovern. As I've been warning you over the years, every time they focus your eye on election, oh, maybe in 2023, you would elect somebody who is reasonable, who will turn things around. But then they will turn around and still tell you, it's our turn in the north. We are born to rule. We must rule. And Britain, of course, will put their usual pressure. Those of you from the east will be bribed. Those of you from the west will be blackmailed or cajoled into submission. And the Janjaweed will emerge from somewhere to become your president, to make your life a misery. Atahiru Jega, you should contribute to the electoral process once again. So forget all your pains in 2020. In fact, in 2019, forget all your sufferings of 2020. Forget 2021. Forget if you may even live to see 2023. But please hope on 2023. Like those that will say, so the kingdom of heaven is very near. But they themselves, they are here with their private jets and having fun. They are here living in mansions, enjoying the heaven on this earth, but telling you to hope that heaven is coming. There's something they are doing. These are the people that have stolen so much money to advance Fulani Janjaweedism across the entire zoo. Look at how he's coming out to speak, so that the Western diplomats will read this thing and say, oh, he's a very good man. He is not for bad governance, but he was the one that insisted that Jonathan must leave office. I know we're mentioning the ex-president Jonathan this very evening because some idiots have come again. But they are going to fail, and they will fail very woefully. I will continue. The committee is made up of Jega, Mr. Richard Umoru, Professor Ifani Anibogo, Dr. Aminu Aliyu, Dr. Abdul Kader, Issa, Professor Amadu Sanda, Hajia Aishatu Dankani, among others. The former INEC boss, who is the member of the committee, said, I believe that all Nigerians can no longer sit on the fence. Are you listening? You can no longer sit on the fence, as everybody needs to contribute to the cleansing of politics in Nigeria. Everybody, now they know that things are bad. They have always known that is always their game plan. But because 200 million people or thereabout are saturated with stupidity, nobody can rise above the parapet of ignorance, I will call it, to see Fulani Janjaweed for what they are. All of a sudden, you are now acknowledging that the zoo is bad. The zoo is bad, of course, because for the very first time, there is meaningful alliance between the East and the West, so they are now panicking and they are worried. They have gone to the usual suspects, though, that they give money to massage your foolishness. They give them money in Ohanes and all those places, all those so-called elites. No electricity, no light, no good roads, no hospitals, nothing. People are dying. The Fulani Janjaweed are everywhere, slaughtering and killing people. All you do is you answer elite, the political class, political elite. Elitism, my food. They have given them a call and they've said, we know nothing about any alliance, but how come that they have now joined hands together? Now Fulani have realized that things are bad. Oh, let's start doing something. Let us focus their mind and their attention on 2023. Let us use the electoral process. They know that electioneering cannot change anything in the zoo. They know that, they understand that. That was the system that they built. That was the system that Britain helped them to build. They entrenched Fulani Janjaweedism. The reason why we preach the way we do is for people to be able to reason, to have the gumption, to have the capacity to see where these criminals are coming from. All of a sudden, all of you must contribute to cleanse politics in Nigeria. But all these years, in 2019, you didn't say the same thing. Because you knew that Jubril was going wearing Buhari's face as a mask. You know that very well, silicon mask. You know that very well. You did not say this thing in 2019 before the elections. No, as you people did against Jonathan, you never said anything in 2019. It's now, having rigged a complete, a nobody into office, because nobody exists as a president. It is somebody wearing a face mask, claiming he's Buhari. All of a sudden, you have now come out. You have now realized that things are bad. You see how clever they fall, and they think anyway they can deceive some of you. They cannot deceive IPOB, and hopefully in time to come you'll do the agitators as well. You cannot defeat people who are more intelligent than you are. They are directing your attention towards politics once again. He went on to say, there should be no fence sitters. Nobody should sit on the fence. Our future is at stake. All of a sudden, Fulani is saying our future is at stake. They are saying it because the continuation of one Nigeria is what they want. The continuation of one Nigeria will make them even give more money to Dangote. Dangote will now own every industry, will own every critical, vital sector of the economy. Fulani will be everywhere. There will be Ruga. That's why they want you to continue. Because before I came on air today, I was thinking, thinking. If you had told Azikiwe in those days, Zik of Africa, that this Nigeria he's fighting for will result in his people being killed, will result in a Ebonyi state almost becoming a caliphate. Ebonyi state is almost a caliphate, if not for IPOB. He wouldn't believe it. If you tell the same Azikiwe that the same useless country you're fighting for, they will come back to gerrymander the boundaries in your own homeland, that people who were previously Igbo will now rise up and say we are no longer Igbo because they have been brainwashed and made useless by Fulani Janjaweedism, he won't believe it. He was fighting for one Nigeria, but in the process he was losing the soul of his nation, and that's what happened to us today. Now that is what they're doing. They always focus you on one Nigeria. Let us build Nigeria. They know Nigeria is not viable. They know that Nigeria is more or less a company, is a British company with a flag and an anthem. That's all that is to it, and a defined boundary. It is still a British company till tomorrow morning. It is still that same Royal Niger company. The same, it doesn't change. It is the same. Every blessed day. The Fulanis, they understand it. Britain that is controlling the zoo, they understand it. Once they keep as a fool, only an idiot will rise up and say, oh, I am Nigerian, I want to be part of Nigeria, to make Nigeria great again, or I want to help salvage the zoo. You cannot. Any effort you're making, any particular endeavor you make towards sustaining one Nigeria means that you are finished. Means that you're finished. Somebody saying somewhere, which radio is off? They say it's off. Not yet working is off. Is work. I don't know what they're talking about. I know our radios are working. Please, I don't need any stupid distraction today. Are you following me? They want you to focus on election 2023. Maybe by then you will vote in a Messiah. This was the same people that told us that Buhari was a Messiah. He was coming to save everybody, to save everything. The idiot ended up making the zoo, Nigeria, the most terrorized country in Africa and number 3 in the whole world. This was an idiot that came into power claiming that they're going to turn everything around. With the help of Obama, with the help of Tinubu, they convinced them. And I'm very, very glad that all of, finally, our people in the West, the Yoruba race, can now see that thing we have always seen, that nothing good can come out of these people. Nobody should sit on the fence. You must get into politics. You must get involved. What is that nonsense that you're doing? Are you going to give us electricity? No, let us assume for 1 second that the zoo should stand. Who is going to build roads? Is it that one that they put to, they build one column, they pour concrete into on top of rods, and they say they have built a bridge? Is this the pace of development that you need or you require to absorb all those who are graduating from universities? Or have all of you, all of a sudden, accepted that you will go to school, get a degree, but you will never work in your life, or you never practice that very discipline that you studied in school? I don't want idiots to listen to me tonight. I want people who are reasonable, people that have got some semblance of gumption, people who can actually sit down and analyze things. Mediocrity upon mediocrity, that is what you're saddled with. And this man talking is Fulani. This man talking is the same idiot responsible for fostering the same bad people on all of you. He is referring to Garaba. I don't know who is the leader of the cabal. I think they are afraid to announce the death of Maman Daura. So I don't know who the leader of the cabal is, because I can curse you and you will die. That is as simple as that. I don't know who. I think maybe it's El Rufai. I'm not too sure. Or maybe they are fronting Garba Shehu. Nobody's quite sure as to who is now controlling the cabal, because there is no president, there is no vice, there is no chief of army staff. That is taken. That is a fact. It is gospel. He is now referring to them as bad people. I want all of you that still, this was the man that INEC used to rig the late Buhari into power. This was the man that was conniving with Cameron, conniving with Obama to make sure that an Islamist ascends into the throne of governance in the zoo in Asorok. The late dead Buhari, who is now lying in a shallow grave in Saudi Arabia, which nobody can dispute. No sensible human being can dispute. They have not given birth to you. This is the man now that the same Fulani, the same people that tricked you into the mess you're in, the same man that gave you high petrol price, kerosene, everything, making your life a misery, is now coming to you and telling you, let's get rid of black people, whereas his own account in Dubai It's overflowing with hard currency. And it's there. And you fools will listen as usual. But I thank heavens that people are now beginning to wake up. They can now wake up and smell the coffee. People are now realizing what we realized or what we accepted or acknowledged very many years ago. That is the way they operate. He will not accept that they made a mess of everything. That is how the zoo operates. The nepotism, as I tweeted a few days ago, the nepotism by this present Fulani cabal, of which Atahiru Jega was those that instituted it in the first place. The Islamic terrorism sweeping through the zoo, Nigeria, they are all part of the plot to Islamize the zoo. It is their trickery, their takia. You know, they come and they trick you, they lie to you, they deceive you. Some of you fell for it. Those that call themselves Niger Delta, they fell for it. All the idiots have been falling for it. All their divide and rule. Middle Belt is suffering. Because as I'm on air this evening, I can tell you, those who are from Plateau State, those of Birom origin, go and ask them in Birom. Go and ask them before, because sometimes some of you don't know what people are suffering in the so-called North and even Middle Belt. You have no idea. In Birom, for instance, they have been telling them one Nigeria, their leaders, oh, Biafra is the problem, and Igbo man is the problem, oh, one Nigeria, one Nigeria, one Nigeria. And now today in Birom, in Plateau State, I am stating a fact. There is no Birom man or woman who is a local government chairman. They are all Fulani. This is something that I want people to understand. The more you agitate for one Nigeria, the more you campaign to keep Nigeria one, the more you are placing your ethnic group at risk of extinction. If you go to Birom, go to all the local government areas in Plateau State occupied by Birom people. If you go there now, you will see it for yourself with your two naked eyes. Fulani have taken over. Even ordinary local government chairman, they cannot even get. Are you listening very carefully? I want people to understand the damage you stand to do to your people in time to come. Maybe by that time you'll be dead. Right now, Azikiwe is dead, Awolowo is dead, all the people that fought for one Nigeria is dead. They never knew that by fighting for one Nigeria that they are inadvertently advancing the Fulani conquest of their own people. Understand this very clearly. Now, these same people, it is not by accident that Nigeria's security forces are led by extremist Fulani Islamists in uniform. All of them. Be it police commissioner, be it in the army, they planned this many, many years ago to occupy every sensitive position and to use that position to advance Fulani terrorism, be it through Miyetti Yala, be it through ISIS in West Africa, be it through Boko Haram or Fulani bandits. Who are funding these people? Are you telling me that somebody from Mali who is a terrorist can carry AK-47 all the way from Mali and travel all the way to Agatu to kill people and no roadblock, nothing, nobody stopped him? Is that what you're telling me? Because I want people to engage their thinking faculties. I want people to be able to reason. Our job here is to enlighten. It is to educate that people may be able to reason. That's all we are doing. Are you telling me they say they are foreign bandits? Okay, let's assume that foreign bandits came from Niger, from Mali, from Chad, from elsewhere, all the Fulani terrorized territories to come into the zoo. Now, when they got into Nigeria, who now gave them the guns they are using to kill people? These are simple questions I expect the so-called intellectuals to be asking. I expect those who claim that they elite to be asking. It's a very simple question. You claim that these people, they are foreigners. The weapons they are using, did they bring it with them as they were coming? Or did they get it when they got into Nigeria? It's a very simple question. But people don't ask these questions. And I have tried to educate and to school black people to understand the reason why you have a law court. To understand the reason why somebody can sit in judgment, or let's say a jury, a panel of jury. And two people were fighting, for instance. And police was called in the process. The police took two of them to the station and charged them and referred the matter to court. Nobody was there to witness what happened. In the court, you will be called upon as an accused to state your case, you state. And after that, the judge will ask The other side, please, do you have any questions? It's called cross-examination. Because through cross-examination, you find out who is lying and who is telling the truth. That is why you ask questions. But in all the years, should I say in all the years of colonialism and what I call damaging European influence in Africa, we have forgotten that there is a very simple way to find out who is lying and who is telling the truth. Even Solomon used it in the Bible by asking questions. That is how you know who is lying and who is telling the truth. And what are those questions that you ask of the zoo? If it wasn't your intention to Islamize everybody in the zoo in Nigeria, why is it that every sensitive security position is occupied by a Fulani person? Simple question. If you claim that you want to advance the country, you want to make things better, how come the head of every sensitive parastatal is a Fulani person? If you claim you want to provide employment, and people don't know what employment means, they have no idea. They think it's the job of the government. Of course it's not. The government's job is to create an enabling environment to allow entrepreneurship, to allow people with ideas to create jobs and opportunities for the population. That's what it means. How come, if your motives were not sinister, how come you shut down four refineries that could employ thousands upon thousands of people? NNPC owns them, run by Fulani. NNPC run by Fulani. You have not refined not 1 gallon of fuel, but you gave the license to your brother, a fellow Fulani Dangote, to build a refinery. Whereas shutting down, I don't know if people are, I can't, when I say this thing, they say you insult black people. If people reason this way, why should they not be insulted? I am referring to Facebook. I want to ask Facebook, when people behave this foolishly, don't I have the right to insult them? You have 4 refineries, 4. Built by not even Fulani governments, built by people that saw the future or that wanted to build a nation. Babangida was instrumental. Babangida's economic plan was the best. I'm just telling you the truth. Babangida, in the post-war era, since 1970, the only person who has come close to enacting, or should I say, to formulating a viable economic policy is only Babangida. Go and look at the industries he built. It's there, it speaks for itself. Now tell me why they will close down Kaduna Refinery, Iguacha Refinery, Une Refinery, Warri Refinery. These are refineries. Think of how many graduates could have been employed. Think of the spin-off industries. There is something called economies of scale in economics. Think of how people could have benefited, the people in the area, even those selling mama puts. All these things I'm telling you is not rocket science, it's common sense. Now ask yourself, why would a people that claim, let's join hands together, let's vote and move the country forward, why would you close down all these refineries? Give the license to your brother to have a monopoly over the supply of petrol to 200 million people, making him even richer than he already is. And then you turn around and tell me, let's build. Let us build the country. Build what? Build on what are you building? What are you building? Build what? I'm asking you. With bare hands? You are in a country, you are telling me that you are telling me you are from Biafra land, the east, that they call south and the southeast. You claim you are from there. Your own son is the transport minister, Amechi. He has not built a railway in his land, but he's building a railway to Niger Republic. And you're okay with it. Somehow you're normal. You get up in the morning and you go to work or you go to church. Everything is okay. And you're telling me that you're well. You're telling me that your senses are intact? Of course it's not. You see, that's what makes you black. Because you do not reason. The difference between black people and white people is that white people reason. They submit everything to the altar of reason. Black people do not reason. The animals in the zoo in Nigeria, they don't reason. Those that you call politicians, they do not reason. They can't think very well. That is why I am impressed with this Odua group that wrote to the Sultan. I'm going to analyze this letter this very evening. This tells you all you need to know about the damnable zoological republic. It has been captured in this very letter. And I asked myself, if the information contained in this letter has been in the public domain, in the open, for decades, why would anybody be antagonistic towards IPOB? Why would anybody be against self-determination agitation by people that want to be free? That is something that I cannot get my head around. You have people who are from Biafra, from the east. You have people even from the west. You have people from the middle belt. That you even have some Biron people who are in the army and in the police looking for agitators to kill because of should I say, their backwardness. They don't know that their land has been taken over. There are Biron people who are in the army. There are Biron people who are in the police. If you ask them to go to MNA and shoot IPOB people, they go and they shoot. But their own village, their own local government has been taken over by the Fulani people. When I think of such people, I know that black people are intellectually deficient. I'm not insulting anybody. I am just stating the facts so you understand it. If what I'm saying is so painful, then you try and change. Open letter to the Sultan of Sokoto, Abubakar Said, and the Fulani leaders. The Sultan of Sokoto and Fulani leader, His Eminence Al-Haji Abubakar Said. Now listen, the State of the Union. We must note, first of all, that is an anomaly. Nigeria is not a nation. It is a contraption. It has never been a nation. If you doubt me, please go to Google and Google the meaning of the word nation. That is why I keep saying that in Biafra land, we will build universities with caution. Because as I said last week, the Nigeria as a contraption is not advanced enough to have a university because people do not learn. If you know the meaning of a nation, there is no way anybody in their right senses would refer to the zoo, Nigeria, as a nation. It is not. Now, I'll read this letter for you. It says here, we write this letter to you considering your importance as the head of the Fulani people in Nigeria, the Sultan of Sokoto. He is. You are also the head of Fulani Muslims in Nigeria. Yes. He is also the head of the every religious group he is the head. He is also the head of all traditional rulers in Nigeria. Only Fulani. Nachinama, they move cattle from place to place. Now listen, it is our hope, according to this Odua group, to the Sultan, that you will be able to share the thoughts expressed here with the 7 million Fulani people in Nigeria through your traditional means of communication. Fulani people in Nigeria, they are not up to 10 million. Not up to 10 million in a country of supposedly 200 million people. 7 million only is holding all of you hostage. You are all hostages, all of you. You have been kidnapped. Some of you may not have been kidnapped in the real sense of the word, like taking you away or raping, Boko Haram raping you or whatever, no. Or like Leah Shuaibu or impregnating you, converting you forcibly to Islam, no. But all of you in your homes right now listening, you are all victims of Fulani kidnapping. You have been kidnapped politically, kidnapped religiously, you've been kidnapped socially, you have been kidnapped economically. You are nothing. Fulani have reduced all of you to their level, to their Janjaweed level. That is what they have succeeded in doing. But unfortunately, some of you are too blind or poorly educated to understand it. I'll read the letter from Odua Group. Very, very interesting. I love it. Listen attentively, please. I beg of you. We write to honor you with this letter, given the floundering opportunities for a dialogue on the future of Nigeria, which has eluded the various ethnic groups in Nigeria and which may not enhance itself too soon. Given the drumbeats of armed violence and extremism perpetrated largely by your people, this Oduduwa group is now telling the Sultan all the armed conflict, all the violence in Nigeria is being caused by Fulani people. And the fleeting prospects of a national dialogue, and to have a national dialogue, they said, no. We will kill you, we will kidnap you, we will vulgarize you, we will take over your waterways. We are Fulani, we do all we can. After all, Britain is backing us, we can do anything we like. 7 million, messing up the lives of 193 million people. Now, tell me why those 193 million people are not fools. Are Fulani people more intelligent than you are? Are they more educated than you are? Ask yourself, how come all of you are sitting down there talking your useless one Nigeria as Fulani are busy encroaching to your towns, your villages, using terrorism, using everything they have in the books? I recall somebody who wanted to contest for election in Biafra land a few years ago. You know what they told him? People, you'll be shocked. People told him, please go to the north and look for one mayor or one. For you to govern a state in Biafra land, you have to go to the north of approval, as the Supreme Court governor of Imo State did. I want people to appreciate this very broadcast this evening. Because according to this Yoruba group, they have told the Sultan to his face, Sultan of Sokoto, your people are the ones of Fulani, the same Fulani telling you about building the nation. They know that the best way to build the nation will be through a sovereign national conference, a dialogue to determine how people are going to live. They know that, but they will not ask for that. The only thing they will offer you is keep going to polling station, keep voting until one day, miraculously, one person will emerge as a good person and then will lead you into El Dorado, the promised land, paved with gold and silver, where the rivers will be flowing with honey and milk. Common sense. Ask anybody, what is the solution to the problem in the zoo? They will tell you it is a national dialogue by people who are serious, not by the compromised idiots. They know themselves. Will they do that very thing? The answer is no. They will tell you, go and vote, because they know if you vote, they will rig. They know if you vote, they will control. Don't you know that? I love this Yoruba group. What is their name again? I will get to their name later on. Given the drumbeats of armed violence caused by Fulani people are the ones killing people. Even a national dialogue, there is no more hope. They said restructure, and Fulani said no. They said review constitution, Fulani said no. Because a Fulani man wrote the constitution. Had it been any other person that wrote that constitution and foisted it on Fulani, they would have changed everything by now. 7 million people enslaving all of you, 193. They come to you, they get one or two of your corrupt leaders, and they give them some chicken change. They go for a meeting in the house of Edwin Clark. Edwin Clark will call NMPC chairman and say, oh, do you know I have sociocultural groups in my house? We are meeting from the south. The man will say, oh, okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, come, Bolaji, advance them 20 million from there, please. Yes, sir, take it as expenses. These people will come to the house of Edwin Clark. They share them 3 million, head of socio-cultural groups, and they go back. And the zoo is as bad as ever. And these people, they claim they love us, they are our leaders, they are our elders, and things are getting worse every blessed day, and they do nothing. All they do is and even before they issue their statement, they will say, oh, please, Abuja, I'm going to write something. Oh, don't mind me. Let us just say it. Our people are very restive. They are worrying. Please, let us just do something. Let us just make a statement. The last opportunity to constructively engage you and the Fulani nation is this letter. This is the last time, this Odua group is saying, this is the last time we are going to write to you in a civil manner, because the problem is getting out of hand. We, now here comes their name, on behalf of Akpapo Odua Koya, which is AOKOYA for short, the acronym, a coalition of several Ishekiri, Edo, and Yoruba groups, write with our deepest feelings about the Nigerian state and what appears to be the pitfalls that lie ahead, most of which are oiled and orchestrated by your own people, the Fulani, albeit consciously. In other words, as the parliamentarian said in the UK, Fulani know what they're doing. They are the ones pushing terrorism. They are the ones advancing Fulanization. They are the ones conquering you. As I said, I want you to ask any of your Birom friends in Plateau State. Ask them. You claim you are from Birom. You believe in one Nigeria. This thing you're doing, but in your village, in your local government, you can an ordinary local government chairman. This ties into what I said before. The more you support Nigeria, the more you put your race at risk. That is why anybody talking about one Nigeria from anywhere, that person is an enemy of his or her people. Because one Nigeria means this thing that Britain put together. And this nonsense Britain put together, they gave the powers to the Fulani. Power may come to your village for 4 years. After that, we'll go back to the north. And within a space of 2 years, they will destroy everything you have done. Look at a country that people that in the past had let me call them visionary leaders. Refineries. Four. People came in, Fulani came in, they shut down the entire, all refineries closed. And now, instead of reopening the refineries to employ people, since there is unemployment, they now give license to one of their own to go and build one mega refinery in Lagos. And people watch these things every blessed day, and they're moving about, claiming that they're reasonable, that they're intellectuals, that they're well-read, that they're learned. And I'm saying, no, you're not. You're a glorified baboon. You know nothing. Your brains are empty. How can you claim you are intelligent? And 4 refineries that could employ an upward of 10,000 people is shut down. And you import petrol. You know, only that will let anybody who has brain in their skull to understand that these are not human beings. So the petrol you're importing from abroad, where did they refine it? In a refinery. The same refinery that you have. And to make matters worse, you're paying subsidy. You're paying subsidy. The money you claim you don't have, you're paying subsidy for imported petrol. I don't understand it. The same petrol is coming from a refinery abroad. The same refinery that you have in Iguacha. The same you have in One, the same you have in Wari, the same in Kaduna. Why, therefore, now let us assume that those people you're refining in their countries, that they decide to be like you and shut down all the refineries in their countries. Will you have any refinery? Where will you get your petrol from? Where will you get your petrol from, I ask you? Let me go back to this letter. In the past, there was no history of Fulani in today's territory until 1804. There was no Fulani in Nigeria. No, I won't call it now. I'll call it Hausa territory. They only came in 1804. This was 800 years after the Yoruba kingdoms had been established, about 600 years after the Hausa monarchies, the Ejo, the Tiv, the Gala, the Jukun kingdoms had flourished. The Igbo nation had existed for centuries before. We have existed for thousands of years, not centuries. Thousands of years. We are the oldest people on the face of this earth. Thousands of years. I said thousands upon thousands of years. If you go to the pyramid we built in Usude, that tells you all you need to know. We built pyramids. Before even the first vulture that heralded the coming of the Fulani landed on the Futajalon mountains, before the first vulture that brought Fulani forth, before the first vulture was hatched from its egg, we've been existing as a people. Ndibo, ancient people. And I thank these people for reminding everybody of that. We recall that your forefathers came to power through brutal and bloody conquest of indigenous peoples in many parts of northern Nigeria under the guise of Islam. That's how they come. We are fighting corruption. We are fighting for Allah, for Islam, and they conquered all of you, all the way to Nupe, all the way to Kwara State. Are you following? They say, because in life, anybody who went to a proper school will tell you, one of the first things you learn as an undergraduate, even when you do an elective course, is this. It has a knack of repeating itself. History has a habit of repeating itself. That is why we must be vigilant. The Fulanis have done this. They conquered the Hausa, and the Hausa foolishly helped them to conquer the Bagi. The Bagi foolishly helped them to conquer the Nupe, and everywhere is the Fulani conquest, all the way to Jukun people. And all of you are there. You never learned anything from history. You never learned anything. You claim you have professors. There is no village right now that won't boast of having one professor. What does those your professors tell you? Do they educate you? Do they enlighten you at all? Do they actually tell you what life is all about? Has anyone actually sat down? I want to ask those propagating one Nigeria, have you actually sat down to read Fulani history? In fact, that's an assignment this evening. Anybody again who argues with you about one Nigeria or the need to preserve Nigeria or to make it one, no matter who the fool is, just ask the idiot. Please, 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 I beg of you, go and study Fulani history. And after studying Fulani history, you then come back to me and let's have a debate about one Nigeria. You will see that they will repent overnight. You will see that what Fulanis are doing today is a consistent pattern of conquest. That's what they have done from day one. They came into the place called Zoo in 1804. They deceived the Hausa people. The same way they're deceiving some of you today. Every time, 4 years' time, voting somebody who is good. We are looking every 4 years. And as you're focusing on every 4 years, they are encroaching, they're advancing. Using terrorism, using the Nigerian army, using the Nigerian police, who are now admittedly working for Mieti Yalam. Encroaching and encroaching and encroaching until what happened to Birom people will not happen to you. That in Birom land, there is no local government where you have a Birom person. They are finished. Is it what you want to see happen to your people? I ask you. That is why everywhere people are rising. And very soon, of course, Middle Belt will rise. You will see it. Just watch and see. Because if you don't rise up, they will swallow you up. The Hausa people failed to rise up. I will continue. We recall that your forebears came. The Fulanis came through brutal and bloody conquest of indigenous people. They took over everywhere. They spread their Islam even to Yoruba land. Hausa land like Katsina, like Kanu, was swept to one side. As I have written yesterday, even Kanem Brono Empire collapsed. Constant pressure from the Fulani. The Shehu of Brono kept resisting, but they kept fighting until they whittled them down. They couldn't defeat them. That was why they stopped Boko Haram. Why do you think Boko Haram is in Brono? Some of you don't know anything. Why do you think Boko Haram, their epicenter, the epicenter of their struggle is in Brono State, where they want to set up a caliphate? Because they tried and tried and tried for centuries. Brono said no. We are not going to follow the Fulani pattern. But Fulani still succeeded in penetrating and having their emirs. But of course, you still have the Shehu of Brono. Do you know that? Do you know that is why they went there? Do you know that the Fulanis conquered everybody in the north and went to Brono? Brono said no. They will be sleeping at night and the Shehu of Brono and his armies will go and kill all of them. Are you aware of that history? Some of you don't know the Fulani. That is why when I see a fool, when I see a compound illiterate mouthing their rubbish, one Nigeria, they don't know they are digging their graves, or should I say the graves of their own people. Because one day they will come and they will take your land over. And I thank this Yoruba group for pointing this very issue out. So your sojourn, they are now telling the Sultan, so Sultan, your visit to Nigeria in 1804 of your people have been very, very successful. You people are very lucky. Even when Britain came, they took you, they adopted you as their favorite slave and gave you all the powers that you needed. And people claim, what are you telling me that this history now, being enumerated by Akpapo, Odua, Koya, are you telling me it's not been there? These things are in your library. If you go to your libraries, they are there. If you go to the internet, they are there. You will know how they came about. You will know how the Fulanis came. A country of over 300 ethnic groups was handed over to you, a foreigner. I love these people. If they can keep up this tempo. Yoruba are now waking up, they're now writing. Yoruba is saying that people who are indigenous to the land when you came was handed over to you very cheaply. First through conquest, and some of it's part by you, who never owned an inch of land. Do you know that the Fulani, they're not telling you, we want Ruga, we graze our cattle in the forest, we do our business in the bushes. Mieti Allah is telling you. And some of you, even the media, the useless journalists will be there writing. They do their business in the bush. Let me ask Fulani, you want pathway to come into my forest to come and graze your cattle? Did you bring land when you were coming from Futajalan? Where is your land? Did you ever own land before? You're a nomad. You don't own land anywhere. You are a wandering tribe of beasts. Where on earth have you owned land before? What is the problem in Mali? Some of you don't know the problem in Mali is Fulani. So you don't know? You've heard about Mali. Jonathan is going to do peace. Do you know that Fulani is the problem? Are you aware of that? Are you aware? The thing is that they will never stay in one place. They always want other people's properties. I don't understand the reason why. And they never work for it. The British in 1960, according to this very letter, the British in 1960 the British left in 1960 and you emerged as the main benefactor. Even though your people were not known to have fought for independence, which Fulani man fought for independence? Does nobody. Did the Fulani people fight the British? No. They welcomed them. But they emerged as the highest benefactors, or should I say the main one. You were wise enough to plant your people in security. They were very clever. Britain told them that the power lay in the gun. Whoever controls the gun, whoever pulls the trigger controls power. So they made sure that their children were in the army, courtesy of Britain. That was British advice. And they took it, and they went into the army. Very sad. Where did you get your independence from? From who? From Britain. Which means that everything you had upon independence was a mirror image of British life. Is that correct? British laws, British schooling, education system, British healthcare system, everything was British. Is that correct? In Britain, do you have police force in Britain? Is there any IG of police in England? People don't understand this very fact. Even in the United Kingdom, there is no centralized police system. Yorkshire have their own police. Essex have their own police. Central London have their own body. If you go to Merseyside, which is Liverpool, they have their own police. If you go to everywhere, even in Scotland, the constabulary, they are all independent. Do you know why the police is independent and localized? So there will be nobody can get into power and want to overrun everybody by force of arms. Now, you copied Britain. Why did you put the word force in your police? In Britain, does the police carry guns in Britain? They don't carry guns in Britain. I'm asking you, is there lawlessness in Britain? Are people going about blowing people up and killing people? Is there any accidental discharge? Because black people don't reason. Britain, their police is sorry. Your own police force. A police that is supposed to be serving the people is a force. If you do, I will shoot you by force and you will die. That's why you have an idiot in Enugu State. They claim they are planning to arrest IPOB officers. Go and arrest now. Let's see. Go and arrest. What happened before will happen again. I remember a joke that somebody told Lagos. And the man came on the bus and started giving us a joke. And the man was saying, there was a man that stopped a vehicle that was traveling and said, if I'm looking for my wallet, if I don't find my wallet, what happened in 1972 will happen again. And people kept wondering and saying, oh my God, what was this thing that this man did in 1972? Well, the people started begging, if you know you're holding his wallet, make sure you give it to him. Oh. And the driver was worried, everybody. And after a while, after about 3 or 4 hours, after this delay, everybody was panicking. This man is going to do something. They asked the man, what did you actually do in 1972 when your wallet went missing? The man said, I did nothing. I just went home. They nearly beat him to death. Yeah, where we come from. Under the false artificial creation called the zoo, your people, Yorubas are talking to the Sultan, your people produce no oil, yet you appropriate and decide how the resources should be expended. And let me tell you why the Fulanis have succeeded so far. It's because of the likes of Ohaneze and Pandev. You have this so-called sociocultural garbage. All these people that come out and they claim they represent your interest. All they do is that they represent their families. Because ask yourself this question. All of you have been in existence for very many years. What have you? Let us look at Pandev, for instance. Pandev for Niger Delta. Jonathan was in power for 6 years. What was his accomplishment in Niger Delta? Nothing. Are our people drinking clean water? No. Has Ogoniland been implemented? No. Is there any, in what way